Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Rizano, and this is episode 312, I believe, of the world famous, universally loved, the best podcast in 1, 2, 3 galaxies. Ladies and gentlemen, you and I, we call this shindig Online Marketing Moves, and we're coming to you live today. Today is Sunday, June the 9th, the 20th. 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, come on in, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing today? Happy Father's Day to everybody out there, all the fathers of children, the fathers of animals, any kind of situation. Happy Father's Day to you all. You know, this is the last year that I get nothing for Father's Day, okay? Next year, I want my wife better make me breakfast in bed, and I better get to sleep for 12 hours. No, I'm just kidding. I definitely want some breakfast though, but when was the last time you slept for 12 hours? I would have to be pretty sick to sleep that long. I haven't slept 12 hours in a long time. It sounds nice though. It sounds quite lovely actually. You know what I mean? But anyway, today, ladies and gentlemen, today is Sunday. We're gonna do a little motivational podcast. But first, and this has something to do with the podcast, the motivational podcast for today. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to discuss with you something that I thought about in the last week. All right. Now, 5 years ago, me and my wife, we bought a house with, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law. Father-in-law, mother-in-law, they lived upstairs. We were going to live downstairs. And we were going to, sort of do all that, because my mother-in-law, she has multiple sclerosis, and so she cannot leave the bed. So, father-in-law, he's not a spry young man. So we're gonna, all live together and help out. But things in life happen. My father-in-law, he decided that he did not want to live here anymore, so he flew the coop, and he left his wife, and then it was just me, my wife, and my mother-in-law. And if you would have told me 5 years ago that I would be in this situation, I would have told you, well, how me and my wife gonna get out of this situation. But sometimes you have to think about things like, am I going to stand here and fight, or am I going to take flight? Am I going to run? A lot of times in my younger days, I would take flight immediately. Like, it's like, if you ever played a video game, I grew up playing Nintendo. You ever play Nintendo and you're losing and you get real irritated and you're like, you know what? F this. I'm hitting the reset button, and you're like, boom, you hit the reset button. You're like, all right, let me start over because that was not working out. I didn't do that a lot of times, but if I was losing like 35-0, I just, you know what? F this, man. I'm losing. It's not working. I'm just gonna, start over. But life, you can hit the reset button, but you can't erase everything that happened to you. You know what I mean? And everything that happened to you happens for a reason. And it's tough. And you would have told me that this situation would occur, and then I would have told you, you are crazy and we're not going to deal with that. But forget that part. That's not even the hard part. The house itself, the house is 40 years old. And so it's like now in the last few months, there's been one problem after another problem after another problem. From the water leak, we had a water leak down in the basement, to the pool pump just went out last week, and there's always something. And I was having this discussion with my wife yesterday, and she said, there was two options we could do. We could have moved, or we could have hung in there and toughed it out and make this house really ours. And she said, whenever we get something done new, I'm always thinking, See, it's worth it that we stick around. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. And I said, 5 years ago, you know what I would have told you? She said, we would have been moving 5 years ago if it was up to you. I said, of course. But I said, this is I sit back and I like today, the pool. I've been working on the pool for last month. Like, first I thought it was just a leak in one of the O-rings, but it turns out we needed a new pool pump. So paid for that. We got that put in, but you still have to, we wanted the water to be crystal clear. You want to see the bottom of the pool. That's the goal. So kept working at it, every day. And today I woke up, I went outside, and I looked, and I said, "Wow, it's amazing! It's amazing! It's beautiful." When the pool is fixed, when the pool is, the water's clear, it's beautiful. It's amazing. And I told my wife, I said, "You're right. All that hard work paid off, and all the hard work that we have put into this house is paying off because now." You're starting to see the results. Yeah, it's costing you some money and it's costing you a lot of time. And every weekend, I get in here and I talk to you about it, and I'm like, man, every weekend, and my wife, she saw me yesterday and I was limping, it wasn't on purpose, but just my body was just hurting, and she's like, you've done a lot. And I said, yeah, but we got to keep this thing going, like it's just how it is. It's like, who else is gonna do that? And the same rules apply for business. You know what I mean? Like, and I want you to realize that. And you sit here and you do this thing, and you think, and let's all be honest with ourselves. We all have doubt sometimes, and doubt comes, doubt creeps in. We have highs, we have lows, and even no matter who you are, no matter where you're at in your business, no matter if you had some success, sometimes you're just like, once you start getting success, then what's the next question? How long is this gonna last? You know what I mean? Like, what's gonna happen? And it's natural, but the one thing that I highly suggest you not do is don't run, man. Hang in there. Like the fight's never over with. Like, yeah, there's always gonna be like this house. Even if I would have moved, and to go to another house, what's gonna happen? Same thing. It's always gonna be something. In life itself, there's always gonna be something. There's always gonna be an obstacle. No matter how far you run, no matter where you go, no matter, if you jump town, if you move from town to town, there's always gonna be a problem in the town. There's always gonna be something happen, Everything ain't perfect. Life ain't perfect. But life, take it head on, you take it head up, and it you can do some beautiful things, And once you figure that out, and when it comes to running a business, then it's the world is yours at that point, Like, yeah, it's not going to be perfect, and it's not going to, sometimes it's not going to happen as fast as you want. I would love to sit here and tell you that I'm making $50,000 a month right now, but I'm not. But I know I will. I know for right now I'm not, but I know I'm putting in the work. We're putting in the foundation to see the $50,000 a month, to see the $100,000 a month, to see the results, to see the tree grow at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time, and that's the same for you. That's why I always say, don't quit. Like, take a break if you have to. If you get too frustrated, yeah, take a break, because you don't want to suffer from burnout, or you just don't want to get so frustrated that you quit. Because I've been to that point, and I've taken 6 months off, in this 3-year process of, running a business, and it was fine. It worked. It helped me out. It actually helped, and it was 6 months, and I worked. I drove the truck for those 6 months, and I still listened to I still read books about business, and I listened to audio, and then I said, you know what, I'm gonna get back, and I'm gonna re-engage, and I'm not gonna quit after that. I'm not gonna give up, and every day I'm gonna put something, towards it. And I have, and it's been well worth it. And I've seen the money, and I've seen the change, and I've seen the growth, not just in me, but you know, all my whole life has changed after I took the break, and I realized, hey, I can do this. Let's finish it up. Let's finish what we started. Let's get the job done. You know what I mean? And for you, it's the same. It's one area of life, and you have to think about this. It's one other thing that sometimes it's like your personal life your dating life might be going bad, but your job is going great, or it could be vice versa. Personal life might be great, the job might be frustrating, but as long as something's going good, you always know, hey, something's working. You know what I mean? And you can all piece it together. Um, it's like you ever watch golf? Today's the last day of the U.S. Open. We'll equate this to golf. You see the guy you got to go from tee to the green. The guy's hitting the best. He's driving the ball perfect. Iron shots, beautiful. He gets to the putting surface, not so much. Or some guys they're hitting slicers into the rough. And then the irons are suspect, and they finally get to the green. And it's like 30-foot putts for pars, and they just sinking them in. Something's working that they are still hanging around, the golf, hanging around the match. You know what I mean? And that's life in general. It's you're hanging around. You're making it. It might not be the way you want it. It might not be exactly how you want it, but you'll piece it all together, and it all come together. It's sort of like I don't know about you kids, but I used to watch Voltron in the 80s. And Voltron, I used to have this thing where they all form together and become this big robot, and this powerful robot, that they would all morph into something, and it's sort of like your life, your job, your relationships, your friendships, your business, it'll all get in sync, and you will all make it work, and it will all be beautiful. But the thing is, don't run off every time something happens. Don't run away. Yeah, some situations, or it's necessary. Like if you want to change the scenery, like, hey, trust me, I get that part. If you want to change the scenery, then change the scenery. But don't. I'll give you another story about fight or flight. I'll give you another story. This one's good. This one, we'll talk about this one, and then we'll wrap up the podcast. 2004. I was 25 years old, and my life was going nowhere. All right, I'll be very honest with you. My life was spinning. Felt like I was spinning in mud, and I just got fired from my job for no reason. It proved out later on that I got fired for no reason. They offered me my job back, but I told you that whole thing. But 2004, I got fired. I remember I was like, well, I need a job. So I went and I got a job at a chicken plant, and I was making $8 an hour, $8.25 an hour, okay, at the chicken plant. And I worked there, and I said, whoo, this ain't the bee's knees, And so I was like, all right, we got to figure this out. So I went and I looked in the paper, and I said, man, all the jobs were like truck driving jobs. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do what I got to do. So went to truck driving school and all that stuff, and started driving the trucks. And it was going okay. And then I remember I was like, I was trying to find a job. I was trying to find a local job where I grew up in Missouri, but nobody would hire me. And I was like, well, this kind of sucks. And I was talking to the people and they're like, well, where you live, it's kind of hard to get you routed home. So it's going to be like, not the best situation. And I was like, oh. And I was like, well, this kind of sucks, So and then I remember I got a phone call from a company. And the company said, hey, we want you to work in the Southeast. And I was like, what's that? And I'm from the part of Missouri I'm from is right by Arkansas. So I didn't know, and they're like, Memphis and Atlanta and all this. And I'm like, and I was like, well, this is where I live. I gave him the zip code. Zip code is 63801. I gave him the zip code. And I said, nope, that's not close. And I was like, well, there's like, you got to move to Memphis or Atlanta or, Alabama. And I was like, who in the hell do I know? And I remember my friend, and we was in the Navy together. And and I remember I called him up. We talked every now and then because he worked at night and I worked at night. So he really didn't get a chance to chit chat a whole lot. So I remember I called him up and I said, hey. And he said, hey, man, what's up, man? I said, hey, I need to use your, I said, you got an address I can use, And I was like, it's for this job. And he said, yeah. And he gave me his mom's address. And his mom lived in Atlanta. And I used her address and I gave the people the address. And I remember this. And they was like, all right. And then I remember I went and I got the job. And it was me, the little town I grew up in. I was like, all right, we're done with this. And so I came to Atlanta with a duffel bag, a duffel bag, and some hope. And it was nice. And I lived in this little area of Atlanta called Forest Park for a little while. And I drove and I was still going out of town, but I remember I was down there and I was like, oh, this is kind of nice, and for a while it was going good. And then I remember 2008, I was getting kind of frustrated. And I was like, I think I'm ready to move. I was like, I think I'm just ready to go. And I don't know why, but and they was like, well, we could transfer you. And I was like, all right, I want to be transferred. And I remember it was like March of 2008. No, it was January 2008. And I said, and I remember and then I was like, do I want to move again? And I was like, no, I just got here like a year and a half ago, And I had just got an apartment like 6 months ago. And I was like, if I'm frustrated, I should just switch jobs, switch companies, not just switch cities or whatever. And then I decided to stay. And the next month, like a month later, I met the woman who would become my wife. And I mean, and after I met her, for some reason, she must have been a good luck charm or something. God bless her. But after that, I got a new job within the company, and it was like the best. And so things just took off from right there. But the reason why I tell this story is because I came to Atlanta with nothing but self and some clothes. And it was hard. Don't get me wrong, it was exciting, but it was kind of tough because I didn't know anybody. But I knew my friend, but he was busy doing his thing, and I was busy doing my thing. So we really didn't connect it when I first got here. But I could have left and went back and moved somewhere else. But what would have happened? What would have happened? Same problem, same thing. And what am I going to do? Move every year and a half, every 2 years? No. I said, you know what? I'm going to stick it out. And it's been 13 years since then, 14 years since then. And man, I love where I live now. I love the city. I love being here. I'm going to have a child here. I met my wife here and we got married here, and Atlanta's my home, when people ask me, I just tell them now, I'm like, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, man, because every great thing in my adult life has happened here. Like I love Missouri and everything like that. God bless them, like I love my family and stuff, and they still live in Missouri. But all the great stuff that has happened to me in my adult life has happened right here in Atlanta, Georgia. So the fight or flight situation, I could have flew the coop, then I would have never met my wife, and who knows what would have happened, if I would have tried to move somewhere else, probably would have been more of a disaster. And I would have kept moving and kept moving and kept moving, kept hopping and hopping and hopping. And, that job, I stayed there for like 6-7 years, after that. And it all worked out and it all was nice, don't get me wrong. It's not like everything's smooth over after that. But, after that, I was like, hey, man, if I have a problem with something, stand in there, man, and just, fight it out, punch it out, and it's the same for you. If there's something going on, and you've like, oh man, I think I need to go, it's, if, the Missouri situation, it was dead, and I was sad to leave. Don't get me wrong. I was very sad to leave, but I knew that if I did not leave, nothing was gonna change. You know what I mean? I was just stuck. Like, some situations but I moved to Atlanta. I'm like, this is a new situation. This is a new, I could have went down any road. I could have switched jobs, switched careers, could have did anything while I lived here. Once you get in the situation, you're like, all right, the road is open now. Like this road is open. Which way do you want to go? And that's it. And you have to take note of that, and you have to say, all right, I'm in this situation. I know I can fight. So get in there and fight. Like if you have a business and this business is not going well, if you feel like, oh, my content's not, man, hang in there, study it up, figure it out, like look and see what are other people doing. We talk about this before. You don't copy, you just see what videos work and put your own spin on it, put your own twist on it. If your content is not connecting like you think it should, but you have to realize these things take a while, especially because you want to get your name out there. You want to get yourself out there. That's one of the most important things. And it's hard and it's rough, and you're not a reality star. You're not, you're not a movie star. You're not an actor or something like that, but you want to get your name out there. You want to be known, you want to get, you want to position yourself, and you will be able to do that. It just takes time. It's not a smooth sailing, not for all of us. You know what I'm saying? Some of you handsome devils and you beautiful women, it might work out a little quicker for you. I'm just kidding. But for the rest of us ugly schmoes, we had to climb a more uphill battle. Now I'm just joking about all that, but you know what I mean. There's different ways. You just have to figure it out. You just have to think about it and set yourself up and write out your business plans and just really hunker down and hash it out, work it out, and fight or flight, man. Now it's gonna be times that you have to fly, it's gonna be times that you have to just pack up and walk away. That's okay. If you're like in an abusive relationship, you might want to get on, fly on up out of there. You know what I mean? Now, but if you're in a situation where you think you can make it work with somebody and you like them or whatever, try to make it work, try your best, but, by all means, but you can't fly out of everything. You know what I mean? Like that's just it's sort of easy. It's the easy way. And that's not gonna help you in the long run. It's not gonna help you at the end of the day. All right. But ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today's episode of the podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with the all new episode of Online Marketing Moves. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tony Rizzano. Thank you for listening. And if you haven't already, everybody, this is the plug day. If you haven't already, everybody, go to YouTube, okay? Type in, I promise you, Tony Rizzano, and subscribe to the channel. We will be coming out with new episodes. I have my downstairs is almost complete. I got to move this stuff out of the office, and after that, we can start shooting all the videos we want, and we're going to crush it on the YouTube. So I want you to be a part of that as well. So go to the Facebook page, You can follow, you can comment on the Facebook page, Online Marketing Moves, and check out we uploaded some of the podcasts, I don't know if I uploaded any videos on them, but I might. And take it from there. All right. So that's it. Goodbye. Happy Father's Day to you and yours. Happy Juneteenth if you celebrated that yesterday. And we will be back tomorrow with an all new episode. So until then, my name is Tony Rosano. Thank you for listening. And as always, everybody, peace.